too. And I really hope that you specifically will believe women when they say that they got hurt.
All right, thanks for joining. Stick around, more Rising coming.
You know, you can blame a network, you can blame not only a network, you can blame anybody in the world that you want over losing your job. However, there are a lot of times when you lose your job, chances are it's because you yourself did something. And this, my friends, would be one of those cases where somebody kind of sort of did this to themselves.
Me too. And I really hope that you specifically will believe women when they say that they got hurt.
All right, thanks for joining. Stick around, more Rising coming up next.
Now, Brianna, I honestly never knew that there were so many people on the right who embrace this phrase, believe women. But ever since October 7th, they've been kind of chanting and marching around with their fist in the air, chanting evidence. I guess that is yet another view that changed. But what happened there? Were you mocking and rolling your eyes at Israeli rape victims, or explain what it is that you were doing?
Of course not. I am hesitant to give the Hill more clicks at this point, but I do encourage people to go and listen to the whole interview.
Once again, we got this problem with the left and leftists when it comes to the topic of accountability. Call it living in a city, call it living in an area where you're around nothing but the smug type, call it whatever you want, but at the end of the day, this right here is kind of sort of the problem that we have in the U.S. at this moment in time, and that you have people who don't do any research, you have people who don't, have any form of accountability in their life, who don't, and I mean this right here especially, they don't have, the single inclination for self-reflection. Yes, the eye roll while interviewing a girl whose sister is currently a hostage. So, Brianna Joy Gray is not somebody that I've talked much about on this channel, and the reason why I'm not talking much about her is because, quite frankly, I just don't find much to speak about her. But still, at the same time, though, you got a person who decides to go cry to Glenn Greenwald after she gets fired from the Hill because she conducted an interview the other day, which we're going to get to here in a second. Not the full interview, but I will be leaving the full interview in the description box so that way you guys can kind of judge for yourself. I just took out the most important pieces of said interview to react to. However, given the fact that this particular person has 2 degrees from Harvard, it makes me interested in just saying, hey, look, how can somebody be this clueless when it comes to U.S. foreign policy? And how can somebody have so little common sense, yet also such little amount of empathy, yet also at the exact same time, let me just run a montage for you guys so that way you guys can see exactly who this person is.
To make the case for why Hamas's acts are horrible and tragic, there is still this embellishment, and I believe it is rooted in a desire to strip humanity from the people of Palestine and justify doing what Max Miller and a number of other officials in the Israeli government have said,
Max Miller is an obscure Republican official. It does not matter what he says.
So every leftist, wait a minute, Robbie, every leftist in America was asked to apologize for some random protest.
They should apologize. They should apologize for their endorsement of terrorist attacks on innocent Israeli civilians, just as I am outraged by the retaliatory actions that are killing innocent Palestinian children everywhere. I care about both of these things and have said I care about both of these things over and over again. It is you and the idiotic, leftist, terrorist sympathizing people who do not care about the dead Israelis. They don't.
So I'm a terrorist.
And they've said it over and over again. Black Lives Matter has said it. The Harvard students have said it. The DSA in various locations have said it. The left endorses what Hamas did. They do. They endorse it.
The Harvard newspaper.
I don't give a Brianna.
Okay, well,
It has to be a one-state solution, which means that there cannot, when Hamas is talking about eliminating Israel, it's talking about not killing all of the Jews. It's about eliminating the idea. It's about...
Leave it there. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there.
It's about, let me just finish, sir. Can I just finish the sentence? It's about eliminating the idea of a Jewish state. Ending a Jewish state, ending an ethno-national state, and having a state more like what we have in the United States of America.
If Palestinians are trying to create a state just like the United States, they get absolutely laughed at. Also sympathizes with the terrorists or finds a way to sympathize with the terrorists on October the 7th. So I don't think we should be surprised that she conducted such an extremely smug interview with somebody who at this moment in time has a family member, sister to be exact, located in an area in the Gaza Strip that, quite frankly, she probably does not know about. And given the fact that right now Israel has just received 4 of their hostages given back to them, it looks like there's an effort to try to get hostages out of that region and try to protect them, keep them from getting killed, stuff like that there. Of course, you've also got people left and right, too, who have actually gone out of their way to say that, the Palestinians did nothing wrong, and October the 7th is just, don't even get me started on this. But once again, though, it is the Blame America crowd that is going absolutely crazy once again, and they're showing exactly who the hell they are. Actually, let me take that last part back. They've already shown you who the hell they are, but of course, this interview here has been an interview that people have looked at, and people have kind of sort of said, look, this girl here, Brianna Joy Gray, was 100% totally, absolutely smug the entire interview. Also, the facial expressions and the fact that she kept on bringing up politics while the young girl was just simply trying to get out there that, hey, look, I would like to get some awareness out there because I'd like my sister to come home. Yeah, this sort of thing right here is the type of thing that would, in fact, get you fired, especially given your previous takes. Now, I can already hear somebody saying in the comment section that going against the narrative, and not only going against the narrative, but also at the exact same time speaking about a little nation overseas or criticizing it, got you fired from the shop. Let me go ahead and say this really quick. I don't believe that Candace Owens got fired from the Daily Wire over her Israel takes, because quite frankly, she had plenty of Israel takes and they could have fired her over any one of them. I think what really got her fired was the Bridget Macron stuff, which, by the way, is going to come up in another video here soon. Not about Bridget Macron, but Emmanuel Macron, her husband, and what happened in France this past weekend. Just giving you guys a bit of a heads up that'll probably come out on Tuesday, because obviously we got to talk about immigration again. However, that right there, getting back to this point, getting back to the topic at hand, I don't really truly think that that was the case, especially given the fact that Matt Walsh is still very, very critical of Israel, and he still got his job. And you guys can obviously sit here and say, well, they fired the black woman, but still at the same time, I'm pretty sure at some point in time, Brianna Joy Gray will start crying racism here real soon. However, before we get to this a little bit from the interview and see exactly why it was that she got fired, as you guys will see here, and like I said, I advise you guys, please go watch the 20-minute video. I need to say this right now. The Hill is or Rising is a publication, YouTube channel, which, by the way, it's the YouTube channel for the Hill, the news organization, website, newspaper, well, online newspaper, whatever you might want to call it. Kind of like the New York Times. Not as good or not as big as the New York Times, but I'm pretty sure you guys know where I'm going with this. They kind of fashion themselves on being populist left, in some cases even populist right. However, the truth be told is they're not populist at all. They're just another great big giant bunch of leftist loons, and they always have been. This kind of been their MO. Even when Crystal Ball and Sagar and Getty, which now they have a show called Breaking Points, when they were the host of Rising, Crystal, of course, being the leftist, Sagar and Getty being the, I'd say, lukewarm righty, because he was really, really weak. I never really truly liked Sagar because he was so extremely weak. But then I found out his job was actually play second fiddle to Crystal, because they wanted to kind of recreate Hannity and Combs, except the difference was that instead of it being the liberal who was playing second fiddle to the conservative, it would be the conservative playing second fiddle to the liberal. However, there's been a lot of videos, a lot of things out there on Sagar and Getty proving that he's not exactly as knowledgeable as he thinks he is. The point is this right here. The Hill, while they claim to be populist, they typically tend to only have left-wing guests on their shows. Just saying. So why in the world did Brianna Joy Gray get fired, and why is it that Brianna Joy Gray is going out of her way to blame everybody but herself? Well, let's go ahead and get into it.
Of course, I'll say that. Of course, I'm pro permanent ceasefire, because it means that we will bring our loved ones home, all of them. But if we won't bring all of them home, so we didn't do anything. We just let Hamas what they wanted, and we didn't bring the hostages back. Just think about yourself being in one of the countries inside the U.S., being attacked from Mexico, let's say like that. Do you think that the United States Army or the Biden administration or any other administration for that matter will be quiet until this terror group will be eliminated, that we will have this threat for...
I mean, I think that's an interesting analogy. I don't think that we would endeavor to eliminate all Mexicans if that were to happen, right? I think that we've had 7 months of a siege.
Eliminate all Palestinians, but let's talk again about my sister, okay?
Please.
My sister is a...
Now, really quick, that was only about a minute and 3 seconds, about a minute and 4 seconds total. Now, you obviously heard that, and you're probably wondering what the lead up was. Well, as I said before, the 20-minute long episode or the 20-minute long segment will be in the description box, or I'll put it in the comment section for you guys. But basically what happened was this here. The Israeli girl was basically talking about the situation in the Middle East and talking about the information that they had been given. Brianna Joy Gray, of course, during the vast majority of this interview, when given the opportunity to ask questions, would suddenly then turn right back around and ask questions that were more along the lines of, well, don't you kind of agree that the Netanyahu administration is, well, they've rejected all these ceasefires, and, oh, wait, you know, and of course you even heard this one thing was interesting, that wouldn't give us the excuse to kill all the Mexicans. Well, I kind of feel a little bit bad about it, but like I said, that right there will, of course, be in the description box. Basically what they're talking about is they're talking about the ongoing war between the Israelis and, of course, the Palestinians. A war that, by the way, the Palestinians started. A war that, by the way, culminated or at least got kicked off when the Palestinians decided that they wanted to kill a bunch of Israelis and take over 1,000 hostages. One of those hostages happened to be this girl's sister. Also, to go on top of this, there was also another report that came out a while back from a girl that we just now call Baghdad Barbie, where she decided she wanted to post a report online about a girl that was taken hostage that was believed to be killed, but would later on turn out to be that she had not died. But then somewhere after she spoke to her mother, Hamas actually executed the girl. Basically, these people don't understand that there's a thing called the fog of war. And of course, there's a bunch of lying-ass grifters who like to take advantage of the situation to try to get their own narrative out there. It exists on both sides of the aisle, by the way, right and left. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. The point is this right here. This conversation began to devolve shortly after that. And of course, it ended up leading into the infamous eye roll moment, which we'll get to here in a second. The point is this right here, though. During the course of this interview, Brianna Joy Gray's smugness, and I mean hardcore smugness, and politics kept coming up. And you'll even see segments where the girl, of course, even said, look, you know, I don't really know much about politics. I'm just going off of what I've been told. You heard the part right there where she said, of course, I'm in favor of a ceasefire. I don't want to see anybody else get hurt, anybody else get killed. But still, though, at the same time, though, it would obviously eventually culminate in this moment here.
Well, because we can already see in the United States, in Michigan, rallies that's calling death to America, not condemning terror organizations in Israel or any other place, in fact, is reflecting to your country as well.
I'm just going to push back against the implication that in Michigan, which has the largest Muslim and Arab population in America, that there is any threat of terrorism from our own people. And I would like to clarify also that one of the rationale that was presented for 9/11 was discussed with America's support of Israel's continued occupation of Palestine. So that's neither here nor there. I really do hope that Netanyahu agrees and Israel agrees to the ceasefire deal that could bring all the hostages, including your sister, home. And I'm sure many people watching are praying for her safety.
Thank you. Me too. And I really hope that you specifically will believe women when they say that they got hurt.
All right. Thanks for joining. Stick around. More Rising coming.
Now, I'm playing this over and over and over again for you guys, okay? I'm playing this over and over and over again in the B-roll footage, so that way you can see that this girl did, in fact, roll her eyes. Now, Brianna Gray, or Brianna Joy, whatever the freaking girl's name is, her initial response was to say that she did not roll her eyes, but it's pretty obvious that she did. She was terminated by The Hill shortly afterwards. Now, The Hill is a channel, and I said this before, that tends to host a lot of leftists, okay? Now they've got Jessica Burbank coming up there from time to time, and the only thing saving her is her face. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. She's one of the only commies, women commies. I say women, female commies, because, of course, you know how the algorithm works. That's actually decent looking, okay? I'm just simply saying that's the only thing that's kind of gotten her by. There's another segment that they run with her. But still, at the same time, though, you guys can obviously see the smugness at play. You don't do this during an interview regardless, especially if somebody's talking about something involving, say, a family member or their sister. However, that obviously did not stop Brianna Joy Gray, for whatever reason, right after she got fired, from going to Glenn Greenwald, somebody who, for the most part, has been excised by leftists, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a second, to complain about the situation.
You know, clearly the fact that you are out there, that you do have this kind of platform in corporate media where you've been using it to be so vocal in your criticism of Israel has really made you public enemy number one. But as you say, that really escalated when this very short snippet of an interview that you conducted with, I believe she's a sister of a hostage in Gaza. Is that correct? She's the sister of a hostage in Gaza.
That's
And it was at
correct.
the very end of the interview, so there was no context to it, but they tried to claim that you were essentially mocking and rolling your eyes at a rape victim. Let's show this video that caused so much disturbance.
Thank you. Me too. And I really hope that you specifically will believe women when they say that they got hurt.
All right. Thanks for joining.
Okay, now I want to say this really quick, and I've said this already. And of course, if I was to show you guys the full interview, we'd probably be here for 2 or 3 hours. And like I said, I'm just going to link the full video in the description box. You guys can trust me, you cannot trust me. But Glenn Greenwald is already kind of misrepresenting it by just focusing on the clip, which, by the way, he then replayed. But then afterwards,
Around with their fist in the air, checking the evidence. I guess that is yet another view that changed. But what happened there? Were you mocking and rolling your eyes at Israeli rape victims, or explain what it is that you were doing?
Of course not. And I am hesitant to give the Hill more clicks at this point, but I do encourage people to go and listen to the whole interview.
she basically shows you exactly how dumb she is when she says, go watch it for yourself, because it's so blatantly obvious based upon the facial expressions and based upon the ridiculous amounts of questions, and the questions that were all of a political nature to somebody who really truly is not wanting to talk about the politics of the nature. She just wants her sister to come home. Yeah, it's that kind of dumb smug type stuff, or dumb smug sneak attack that people oftentimes cite as a reason why it is they don't like politics, especially people on the left. But let's continue.
One is that this is not someone that the Hill reached out to. They weren't looking for a guest who was a family member of a hostage, or who could give the perspective of what those family members are going to. This person offered themselves up, and very specifically when making the request, said that they wanted to talk to me. And when our producer, Joanne, forwarded the request to me, I don't have the exact language in front of me, but immediately a red flag.
There was no red flag. There wasn't. 20 minutes overall interview. The girl in the white, she interviewed the male host. I think his name is Rob. I can't remember. Like I said, I don't really watch The Hill. I know of this girl here. I don't watch The Hill anymore, especially Rising. I used to watch it back before the 2020 election, and I even watched it going into 2022. Then I realized that, hey, look, for the most part, this network, the only thing they broadcast is just good old-fashioned leftists, good old-fashioned socialists, ardent communists, people like Gene Unger all the time. It's one of the main reasons why I eventually just stopped watching them, because, quite frankly, I didn't find them to be a credible news source.
Because it seemed to me that this was someone who had a personal vendetta and agenda against me, and I was cautioning Joanne against having yet another person on that wanted to litigate what they found distasteful about my own personal political views in the context of a show where I, as a host, really don't have the opportunity to go back and forth. I have to, moderate a show, be gracious to the person who has come there. But when they sort of open the door to personal attacks, it upsets the balance in a way that I don't think is really appropriate for the show. But I was in a position where I was under a great deal of
course, the interview would eventually go off the rails. Or actually, it would go off the rails from Brianna Joy Gray's perspective. The reason why is because Brianna Joy Gray was looking to get her agenda out, especially when it comes to overall politics. Like I said before, it's a lot to go into, a lot to talk about, and it would probably take 2 hours just to react and respond to the video. But this video right here, for the most part, is really and truly about the left's inability to take any form of accountability for their own actions. This right here, for the most part, is just good old-fashioned projection, and this right here is also at the exact same time basically what I've always said, accusing your opponent of what it is that you already do. Now, guys, the thing that I've noticed the most as far as people responding and reacting to the interview that was given, and like I said, I advise you guys go check it out. I mean, I only took small snippets, only about 2 minutes of the interview total. The thing that you got to understand about this particular set of circumstances is, number one, the girl whose sister is in captivity, she can't really speak much about the politics, especially given the fact that she's Israeli too. I mean, last thing you want to do is criticize the leadership while you're trying to get your sister to come home. Something that, quite frankly, Brianna Joy Gray does not understand, which also shows you that these people don't really have any actual awareness of situations. It's really kind of sort of false confidence. There's another thing about false confidence that I may talk about in the video, but then again, at the same time, though, while I may be a Bible prophecy buff. I'm not really a scholar. It's a culture war channel, but still, I don't want to bring that in this video. But the fact of the matter is this right here. It takes an amazingly unaware person to be this clueless and be able to play the victim in such a way that, quite frankly, really just comes off as flat. I mean, even Glenn Greenwald himself, after watching the interview, probably would not be able to defend her. But then again, at the same time, though, this is Glenn Greenwald, and of course, he gets a lot of fame for what happened involving Snowden. However, if you know Glenn Greenwald, then you will know that he's actually more left-wing than Jimmy Dore. He's more left-wing than Cenk Uygur. And he's also just as daggone dishonest. Let me explain what I mean by dishonest. The only reason why he's even hanging out or talking to people like Tucker Carlson and people like, say, Alex Jones is because he went against the narrative himself. Of course, he got fired from his recent publication, his recent, I think we'll say it was The Guardian that he worked for. He got fired. He basically got excised for not going along with it. And of course, eventually he got excised by other progressives, let's say Cenk Uygur and also even Jimmy to a certain degree. And Jimmy Dore, of course, also got excised as well. These people love to character assassinate one another, which makes me think to myself, okay, so what's going to happen next to Breonna Joy Gray? Well, I have a little bit of a theory on this. You see, now Breonna Joy Gray has been excised from a left-wing platform. And of course, you never know, she could end up getting a job at MSNBC. She could end up getting a job at CNN. But of course, they're not going to have her either. So watch her next step. Watch it be to blame race. Watch her to play the race cards. Oh, they fired me because I'm black. Then you notice they fire Candace. So yeah, that's probably what you're going to see. And then all of a sudden, she may try to tropes over and try to come over to the dissident right. But you need to be wary of that there, which, by the way, is probably going to be another video at a later date on who you can trust and who you can't trust. It's one of the reasons why it is that I'm always very, let's just say I'm always suspicious of people like, say, Matt Taibbi and Glenn Greenwald when they come up with information. Yes, they do serve their purposes, but at the end of the day, though, they're only there because they got kicked out of their own club. They're not over there because they really and truly care, which is also going to bring up another point in tomorrow's video, or the follow-up to this video here, which is going to be on the Piers Morgan situation. He got into it with one of those black leftists who's very, very woke and believes that, you can identify as a dog, a cat, or whatever. The point is this right here. This person did this crap to herself. That right there is the reason why it is that she got fired from the Hill. She didn't get fired from the Hill because somebody had an agenda against her. She got fired because she was smug, she was stupid, she was low IQ, and quite frankly, downright disrespectful based upon her eyes rolling. But you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. I understand I didn't include a whole lot from the interview, but it will be in the comment section for you guys to see. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comment section. I'll see you guys later.